boost ignition, and liftoff, and all systems are go.
Welcome to the Lesbo and the Bean universe. Lesbo and the Bean. LATB, LaTB, where mixed martial arts and the UFC get silly. Big silly. Buckle up and move your tray tables to their upright position. And please, somebody shut that baby up. It's time for Lesbo and the Bean.
Welcome back, episode 193. What a recap in Ricochet we're going to go off of, because it's been 3 weeks in a row of non-stop action. The main events have really come through. But here we're getting back at you, telling you what we thought about the fight card, letting you know what we think, what's going on in the MMA world. Before we get into all that, how have you been, Lesbo? How was your weekend of fights?
I think the card exceeded expectations. Of what I thought I was going to watch. I knew it was going to be a great night of fights. And there was a lot of decisions early on in the night. And a lot of odd exchanges. But as the night went on, it picked up steam, and got better and better and better and better. And I enjoyed myself overall, UFC Pennsylvania. But could do without your awful judging.
Absolutely some of the worst judging we've seen in a long time. Man, was it bad. We'll eventually get to the fight where we're really going to be able to talk about who we wanted and what happened where. But before that, MMA Twitter verse is going down. We've had a bunch of fights end up being put onto many cards. The information that's been broken as of late that I feel like has been on top of everybody's tongue is officially Ruslan Magomed something whatever, Magom whatever Russian guy has popped officially 2 and 3 times now in USADA and officially has gotten a lifetime ban.
Is it Magomed Sharipov?
Nope. It's
Magomedov?
It's Rustam Magomedov, I believe.
Magomedov.
Rustam is his first name.
The big Russian guy.
One of the regular... They're all big Russian guys. Which one is it?
But there's not a lot of big heavyweights. Isn't he a heavyweight?
No, he's like a $170.
Oh, I thought he was like a 225er.
I could be wrong on that as well. There's so many Magomeds, Zheripovs, and all this. But...
You could be being racist against the Russians. I didn't even know that happened.
Really?
No, not
really? So with the lifetime ban,
and
because he is
I really can't even recall his face, to be honest, so it doesn't really hurt me if I can't think of his face.
Russian face, bowl cut, brown hair. That narrows it down to all of them. you don't see what I started this way? But with these lifetime bans for steroid popping, how do you feel about that in general? Regardless of the fighter, where he's from, how do you feel about them supposedly handing out a lifetime ban?
Well, it's steroids this time.
When has it not been?
I feel like a lot of the times it hasn't been. Hasn't it been like...
Tainted substance?
Or inhibitors and things that were like estrogen inhibitors or blah, blah, blah. They like, if it's real steroids, then that's a different thing, isn't it?
I would agree with that, but if it's on the banned list, regardless of what it is, it's on the banned list. So I feel like you treat them all the same.
Oh, I'm not.
No, you think one less is us?
All sins are the same in the eyes of God.
Well, no, they have a list that says you can't take this.
Yeah, I think some things...
It's their list.
If there's some things that aren't immediate, like if you were to have it in your system inside the octagon right there, that would be super helpful for you right there.
So how many picograms is that?
I know. I think the picograms, I think they made that up.
Well,
it's
just one of those.
I don't know. I do think every case is its own case, and I want to know what it's all about, like what's going on.
John Jones, illegal substance in the United States, Tyrannobol. All the way around. Doesn't matter where you're at. That is illegal steroids at its highest level as well.
Yeah, but I think the whole John Jones thing is so sketchy. The whole entire thing.
Is the real question, Magomed's freaking management is garbage, because if you have Ali in your corner, you can have X amount of picograms and you good, baby.
And right after, were we we've talked about TJ into the ground with his
100%.
whole thing, and we still don't know what his whole thing's all about. But I feel like right when we got off air, it was officially announced that John Jones was going to be fighting Thiago Santos.
100%
that Amanda
correct.
Nunes was going to be fighting Holly Holm.
Correct.
That Ben Askren was going to be fighting
Jorge Masvidal.
Masvidal, and that Robbie Lawler was going to be fighting Tyron Woodley.
Correct. On top of JDS versus Ngannou. That, by the way, those first 4 bouts you were talking about, those are Santos, John Jones, Holly Holmes, Amanda Nunes, Ben Askren, Masvidal, are all on 239, I believe.
UFC 239. That's a stacked card already.
With
what else needs
Ngannou,
to happen?
with Ngannou and JDS as well.
That is crazy.
That's unbelievable
That's a
of a
great
card.
card.
Unbelievable of a card that's been putting together. So, tons of fun. It's who falls out there because, dang.
Oh,
Holly
I
Holm.
also heard other news.
Please.
So remember how Connor wouldn't sign the bout agreement with Cowboy because they wanted him to put him on the
Co-main event, yes.
Well, the real reason is because if you're in the co-main, you don't get share of the pay-per-view buys. And that is what I've heard was the real reason behind that whole fight is they don't want Connor, and he's like, I want to share,
Yep.
and they don't want that. I don't know why I just thought of that.
But officially, I just was looking at recently, and it was Coach Kavanaugh who had just said, finally, we have a trilogy. And that was via this morning. People are speculating as to what he means by that. But then Connor recently also tweeted out and saying, I'll take all the shares. Did he not?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe that's the new. I was thinking, is Dee pregnant again? And they have a trilogy, and they're gonna have their 3rd kid. Because he's been super sweet. Like I saw her, she got flowers, and he's been extra canoodly because somebody did dirty. That's the act of a guilt. But he's always been super lovey to Dee, so I don't want to say look at that. That's the sign of guilt.
So, and the other MMA verse, any other significant things that we can think of that we've been talking about?
Fights. We always come so prepared here at Lesbo and the Bean. I know there has been other announcements, but I don't know if there's been anything big enough.
And we can go through it as we talk about the fights.
If we remember anything, we'll talk about it. But I also know we have 2 weeks, the first 14 days without fights that we've had in some time. So we'll have plenty of time to talk about all that other stuff.
Get deep into the dirt by that time. If you haven't watched The Dirt, by the way, on Netflix, you're welcome. Get on that. That's a fun little Motley Crue. I didn't even know I like Motley Crue. Actually, I didn't know how many songs were by Motley Crue, and I was like, wow, I like this song. I thought those guys were douchebags.
The Dirt, good for fun. It's not like groundbreaking film, but it's fun. You'll totally put your phone down and be entertained by it. And if you're a fan of Machine Gun Kelly, he plays Tommy Lee. But the All American, I think, the Netflix series. Loving it. Can't get enough of it. Loving it.
Interesting. I'm going to throw out the weird pick of the week as far as watching. The OA 2nd season gets a little crazy interdimensional time travel shit. But if you can stick in and get new...
Our fans, you always talk about
the OA. Then it just came out, and I've been at night by myself. I'm watching just like, is this me? Am I in my own head right now? Am I breathing? Got to put down the weed sometimes at night. Uh-oh. Getting in trouble.
Hey,
but the OA, definitely been having fun with that one. It gets a little funky. It gets a little dancey at times. But I recommend it. On to the 13-card bout out of Philadelphia. We had, again, a showstopper, but we always start all the way from the bottom. And Alex Perez started off the night against Mark De La Rosa. Heavy favorite here, minus 400 for a reason. Came out and really used his wrestling to, even on top, have enough submission defense to keep the fight where he wanted to. Striking-wise, De La Rosa only really had good striking for the first minute to 2 minutes. Once it got on the ground and they exchanged a couple grappling sequences, you could see pretty much the size and physicality come over from Alex Perez. I still like De La Rosa. I still really think his striking is getting better. He just looked really undersized to me. Or did Alex Perez look like a freaking monster? Because that guy, he looked humongous at 135 pounds.
It's hard to be... I've really loved everything I saw from Alex Perez, and it's hard to be high on Alex Perez and not give Mark De La Rosa some credit. Otherwise, it doesn't give Alex Perez any credence for this win. And I thought Alex Perez looked great here. It just solidifies more the dude he is in the division. But I don't not want to see Mark De La Rosa not, fight again.
Totally agree.
I'm into it.
I thought they both represented themselves well, for sure. At 125 pounds, we have Marina Moroz coming in as an underdog to debuting Sabina Mazo. You know I was talking about Mazo big here. I was talking about her veteranship, how she really turns it on, and I felt like she absolutely gave that first round away, which I was talking about. But the last two, that second round was close. Thought she really was looking good in that third round. Mazo was turning on, and we started to see Mazo fade a little bit. But the veteranship of Moroz really took over in those first two rounds. She got in Mazo's face. The ATT training for the last 4 months has really kicked in for her. So Moroz, I liked what I saw in there all the way around, but it stayed a striking battle on the ground. I still think that there may be avenues for Moroz to be have trouble in there against a good wrestler potentially.
She took it down a bunch?
Did she take down Mazo?
Yeah, I thought she handled it on the ground.
I thought it was 100% striking battle. I thought it stayed, and by the end of it was Mazo landing intercepted knees, but I thought they didn't go to the ground one time.
Maybe not.
This was a striking delight, but I think at the first minute, Moroz busted open Mazo's nose, and there was just a lot of blood damage from that first round.
I'm scared to get high on Mazo because I thought Marina Moroz, this was by far her best outing that I've ever seen from her. She was so dominant and so scary, and she is only 27, so she could be growing these kind of leaps and bounds, but I don't want to just negate everything that Mazo did, but it was too little too late. Yep. And she, in my opinion, she kind of put together some okay combinations like the last minute maybe of the second round. And then the third round, it was almost like Moroz had done so much by that point that she could just sit back. Like, she comfortably won the fight.
Right.
We never like to see so much here. But, so it was hard to tell if she actually... Marina Moroz only got one takedown. But she held her she tried 9 times. And so the amount of control she had during those 9 attempts was pretty significant. Like, where Mazo just looked horrible. So, I just liked everything I saw from Marina Moroz, and I was, hating on the way in. So.
I agree. I was hating on the way in, and I don't want to say, I still liked what I saw from Mazo in there. Even though she lost, it was by far the highest level competition she's seen so far. So I like both ladies moving forward as well. They're still young.
Yeah, they both played pretty much the same amount of strikes.
It was that one takedown that was really the difference.
One takedown, and the 9 attempts. The amount of control that Moroz had for that was...
But that's the interesting thing about judging. It's like, does an attempt really mean? Because attempt means you got stuffed. So who really got the advantage
if you
there?
Still had control, like if it took you 1 full minute to try to get range and you put your arm in the right place and got the underhooks in the right, that doesn't all just happen in split seconds. I feel like if you're doing all the right things, I have your back up against the cage for more of the time.
Right.
I have the right positioning. Even if I don't get the takedown, I still have the control. That has to mean something.
That's where it's open to interpretation. And we saw some of those later on in the card. Speaking of which, one that's open for interpretation at 35 pounds. We had debuting Casey Kennedy coming in against Ray Borg. Ray Borg moving up 10 pounds in weight and still missed weight. Ray Borg went up at 10 pounds in weight and still missed weight. Habitual weight misser, Ray Borg. And... it's just, he says, but our bad planning, things didn't come together, but it's something that we've seen with him mentally now moving forward, that it's just, can't ever trust him. This is one of those that a lot of people had an issue with, myself being one of those, because no credit taken away from Casey Kenny. Kenny looked good, all sorts of ready to go in there. He was trying to knock out Borg, but pretty much I saw after the first 2 to 3 minutes, once Ray Borg started to get his takedowns going, it was Ray Borg's fight to lose, and he didn't. He kept just going. I mean, he finished, 8 out of 9 takedowns? Where he completed over his shoulder, dropped them for Ray Borg?
Yeah.
7 of 10s. Marina Moroz won with 1 takedown.
2.
2.
2 of 3 attempts.
For Moroz?
for Casey Kennedy.
Oh, Kennedy. No, I'm talking about Moreau's. I'm talking about the other fight earlier.
Oh, yeah.
When we were talking about Moreau. So she had 1 takedown and won that fight. Ray Borg got 7. Yeah. Kennedy only had 3. But what Kennedy was saying, or Kenny, was saying at the end of it was he felt like there was no control from Ray Borg when he got him to the ground and was able to get back to his feet. And I would disagree. If you looked at regular standard wrestling rules, you're like, 2 seconds of control on the ground, dude. He took you down. You got an escape, but he still gets more points. Like, I still saw by far the control in the fight go in Ray Borg's favors in my eyes.
I kept hearing people say, I think it was Dom in DC.
Yes.
I kept hearing him say, well, you can see how Casey, because Kenny had double the strikes. And then I think DC might have even said, well, Ray Borg had double the takedowns. Not quite. More than double the takedowns. And a takedown has to mean more than 1 strike, and it has to be more than a few. I really liked everything I saw from Casey Kenny and on short notice. There was something about Ray Borg in there that he just looked sluggish and lazy, and his body looked awful, and he looked chubby, and he looked like he's just trying to call it in or something. Like he's not all the way there. He's not the hungry Ray Borg that I want to see. And it was easy for him to get the takedowns in every way. Maybe there was just no damage at all.
But that doesn't matter. Damage is different.
Significant strikes matter more than strikes.
Yes. But I don't think there's a damage clause, which people have said there should be.
Yeah, but a significant strike, everybody knows is there.
Sure.
And that usually is because it causes more damage. And Ray Borg only laid 17 of those compared to 32. That is like a big difference just in significant strikes, if they're ones that they consider. Because, we were even talking about there's a couple fights later on that it's like somebody just peppered somebody.
Sure.
Like, where we're like, that can't mean something to the judges the same way. Like, there has to be...
What's a significant strike?
I think 7 of 10 takedowns. Just in my opinion, if he got 3 of 10, and then Kenny Casey got 2 of 3. I still think Ray Borg had an attempt on a takedown that they even called it enough as an attempt. I must have you in some kind of way for them to say she just attempted a takedown just then. So I feel like just 10 attempts, much less you get 7 of those 10. We never see that. That's Usman numbers.
That should be crazy amount of numbers. And it was the way that he was returning him back to the mat. It was slams. Ray Borg was walking into the ring and slamming him. If there was such a thing
as a significant strike, and we're saying it, there should be a significant takedown. And I agree with you there. Ray Borg taking wind out of him.
Yeah, 100%. Like, that's damage.
Harsh takedowns.
That's
harsh
damage.
Takedowns. Like, if it was a video game player, you'd see it go down a lot more of a drop than just stamina. Like a single leg and then crawling up until like walk you down.
100% agreed. But moving forward, I still think both guys have a fight to win in the division. But Ray Borg, you just can't put your money on this guy at all whatsoever. Too many issues with his personal life. Unfortunately for him, he has a hard life on top of not making weight. There's just too many external factors that he's obviously still going to be a favorite because he's a top-level competitor, but I can't see myself putting money behind him.
Ray Borg to move camps. Like, maybe he needs a change, and maybe he needs to go to a striking
I don't think he will.
Camp. Like, his wrestling's tight AF. I think he should go and work on his hands a little bit or do something there. Maybe knees, kicks, something else. There has to be something else to add to the game. And maybe not. I'm sure all his extra money's gone to his kid.
100%.
But maybe a little bit of it, nutritionist?
Maybe not. I want to say that be conspiracy because the last time I checked, he didn't have to pay for any of his kids' medical bills.
I don't know. Well, I know Brennan Schaub really helped out, but there's still so many other stuff if you have a sick, like...
True.
Even if somebody paid the hospital
other
part
stuff.
off, like, just at your house.
Yeah, that's right. Right. I'm being a dick. Well, but I know that it wasn't only him. Like, other people have come out and really been helping him, so...
Oh, yeah. I for some reason, even feel like Dana White may have been really
helpful.
Like,
a lot of money.
But, yeah, if the guy's I just think Ray Borg, nutritionist, money well spent for you, homie. Like, you can't be missing at this because I don't know if I think Ray Borg's going to be great at 145 if he don't have hands at all at 135.
He's small. He doesn't like his size, height-wise.
I didn't like his build at all.
I agree.
If he had real strength on that, yeah.
He looks sluggish for sure as in there.
Or maybe Ray Borg, maybe some BMF, maybe go out and hang out with Cowboy, work on some submissions. Like, if you're going to just be a takedown guy, let's do more than just, like...
The Borg's pretty good on he gets a lot of submissions in there. I thought you were more right on saying his striking. He's got to get his striking better.
I'm trying to be on the Borg bandwagon, and I'm just...
We're both on the same boat.
I'm more on Casey Kinney. I'm like, watch this kid going forward. Imagine him with a full training camp. That kid on short notice looked that good against Ray Borg. I think he's the one to watch going forward, that this fight happening again wouldn't go the same way. I wonder if this is how good Casey Kinney was on where I don't think he won the fight, but it was close. It was close. Yeah. I don't even remember. I did tweet out about one fight that this could go either way. I'm not going to be... Or I thought it was a robbery, but it was too close to be pissed.
There was a couple. But this one, if there was a robbery, I feel like this was the one that was a robbery. Even though I like Kenny. Moving forward, I like him as well. I like what you're saying. It's hesitant on Borg, but there was other ones throughout the night that were much closer. One of those being at 185 pounds with Kevin Holland versus Gerald Meerschaert, GM3. Ended up not getting it done in there in a dirty-ass split decision. There was a shard all over. There was a dirty split in there because someone sharded in there. After the first round, it was just two guys transitioning back and forth and back and forth. Both guys looking a little tired. I thought, for me, personally, from the first round on, GM3 looked way more tired than Holland. And I do know Holland at the end of the fight was like, don't give me one of these guys that's going to wrestle. And didn't Dominic Cruz already say like, well, don't let him take you down, brother? And the sick did with Cormier. But I guess in the fight, we saw it wasn't a striking battle. It was all on the ground. And these guys were transitioning submission for submission for submission for submission. And Kevin Holland at times left his arm behind Meerschaert's neck, which if you're in there against OSB, you're going to get Von Flue choked. So that was probably my biggest takeaway from Holland. There was times where he was locking himself in a position on his back instead of just being like, all right, time for me to get up. But fun showing from both guys. I think Meerschaert's perennially going to be one of these dirty splitters. I think if he doesn't submit you, it's a dirty split with Meerschaert because he's got heart. But tentative moving forward on Holland as well. He's intelligent in there. He thinks on his feet. I just haven't seen that next shift. I haven't seen that third gear from him yet in any one of his fights. I seen like he gets out of first, he gets out of second, does well, but then he just kind of holds on.
Is it because he is just going against a bunch of grapplers? Or not just in the MMA, you're going to...
Yeah, I think you're going to see that, especially the further and further you go along.
This was another one of those fights, though, where it was like tons of takedowns for one guy, and the other guy not quite did double the striking. But another night that we realized, or another fight that we were like, oh... Philadelphia, home of Rocky. They don't give a shit about takedowns
and grappling.
Here.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit. So, that's the striking. If I was a coach backstage at this point and I had a certain amount of plans set up for my fighter, I don't know how it all, like if I had game plans, it wasn't just...
and you can watch the TV screen from inside your room warming up.
You know what? We're going to go out and try to strike. We're going to try to work on everything from blah, 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 whatever we had gone through.
Even after months of training of you're just going to get in there, take them down, and you don't care what the crowd thinks.
Well, I'd be like... Hopefully you don't just work on one thing. That if you were, even if you were 75% takedown heavy, I would be like, the first round we're going to try to stand with him. We're going to try to stand with him. You're going to work on your elbows. You're going to get up in the clinch, but instead of taking him down, you're going to do something nasty on the way out, and he's just going to get comfortable with that. You're not even going to attempt to take him down too much. You're just getting that close. Like something. There's got to be something as a coach that you're giving. That's just like, holy shit. These judges, or don't leave it up to the judges, kid.
Which, that's kind of where I'm like, he gets in the second gear. I haven't seen him go into that third or fourth gear for me, and with Holland specifically, is where he's letting these get to the judges. Again, he's had some pretty good competition in there, Santos being one of his initial
I think
opponents.
Meerschaert's an underrated guy.
I agree.
think he is a wet blanket, and the fact that he made it through the fight and still looked as good as he did by the end, it makes me a little high on Kevin Holland. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I'm interested in this.
Oh, I agree.
Think he's young enough. Like, and I like what you're saying, too. I think Meerschaert's just a guy that he's going to stutter right here, but he's going to catch a few guys up that they have to go back to the drawing board. He's going to catch a few young
He's
guys
going to
up.
Paul Craig him in fucking there. For sure. But definitely guys to watch out for at the 185-pound division, which is a little on the weaker side compared to most other divisions. At 145 pounds, we
Do you
had...
think Mearshart could move down?
No, he's pretty big.
Really? You thought his body looked like...
I thought he looked pretty
sucked out
shredded.
extra? I don't know what he looked like at weigh-ins.
Yeah, he's a pretty big guy. Strong guy from what I understand as well. He's been training with a good camp. I want to say Rufus Sport, maybe not somewhere up in Chicago, something like that. But definitely, I think he's in the right weight class. Other guys who are in the right weight class at 145 pounds, Kevin Aguilar versus Enrique Barzolas. This is what
I tweeted out during that fight, the Mearshart fight. I think Mearshart is doing enough to win the fight, but you would never even know it was close listening to the announcers.
That is the truth. They were very Kevin Holland friendly, even though Mearshart, they were calling him gassing. They were like, he's gassing. I saw it as well, but that was just kind of his fighting style. And he's done that before GM3. He just kind of looks like he's not there, and all of a sudden he's in a really compromising position, and you're like, I'm not going to tap.
I wish I knew what fight it was at 5 p.m. right before the Mearshart fight. I tweeted, wow, too close to be pissed, but I disagree with the judges.
Ray Borg, Kennedy.
Yeah.
That's it.
So it was too close. Then I'm like, okay.
Yep.
Ray Borg, just a little ground and pound, but he couldn't really hold Kenny down, too. We don't have to...
100%. No, I agree, but... you got to give something more for those takedowns. That's a discrepancy in takedowns. And again, they should be worth more than just one significant strike. So the underdog comes through, maybe a slight favorite by the end of it with Aguilar versus Barzola. Barzola, being the Peruvian wrestler, really couldn't get much of his wrestling going on. He got one takedown out of, I believe, like 11 or 12. Here, I was really praising that takedown and then eventually getting there with Aguilar having, at best, a little over 60%. Oh, he landed none.
0.
Out of how many attempts totally?
8.
Okay. Wow, either way, that's a lot of attempts. That's a lot of
attempts. Once it gets
attempts.
over 6, I'm like, he was trying to take him down the whole fight.
The whole fight. But it's true.
That's what I'm
It
saying.
is
That
true.
control has to mean something.
100%.
This was another really close fight.
Ultra close fight. But standing-wise, Aguilar is a better striker in there and was able to counter-strike Barzolas, who can get outstruck and just kind of sit at range a little bit, a little too at range and get too comfortable where the fights get into that weird split decision territory. I really like Barzola's body attack against Aguilar and thought he could do better there, but before he could really get that going, Aguilar had won a decision 29-28 for Aguilar, and I agree with that. He kept the fight where he wanted to, and he was getting off the better strikes. I think both guys moving forward look good. I'm going to still be betting both of these guys. I don't think it's a fade on either one.
See, here's some, like, now just looking at the numbers in front of me, which I never, ever normally have when we're talking about this. Aguilar only threw 5 more strikes than Barzolas. But that is where damage matters sometimes in fights, even though it's like, that's the significance of it. Even though it might not be damage, like, we can't count a broken nose. Or we can't technically count those things, but we can count, oh, damn, that was a clean shot to the face, like kind of idea in our head. And I think that's what Aguilar, you're so right. That's where he did, he was landing the harder shots. The harder shots, the more impactful shots.
Yep. How do you feel like going forward with either one of these guys?
I don't feel bad about either of them going forward.
Right.
I think they both have a lot of good, exciting fights in the UFC, and they're definitely going to catch people up. I don't know if they're heading toward championship, but I think they're fun, exciting fighters, and I wasn't bummed by the fight.
Agreed. And they have fights to win in the UFC for sure. At 155 pounds, we had Des Green coming in against Ross Pearson. The real deal got finished in the first minute, or the first 2 minutes and 52 seconds of the fight. We ended up having Des Green get his first knockout ever in his
was it ever?
UFC. I think maybe he's got one in some other promotion, but in the UFC, officially his first knockout ever. First finish in years and years and years. It's been a while. He's tended to be a decision machine, but is this one of those things where people are like, Des Green, one of the hardest hitters in the division? And we're like, oh, hold on, bud. Ross Pearson at the end of his career. Because that's what Ross Pearson looked like to me. in there for the 2 minutes we did see
I don't
him.
want to see Ross Pearson in there anymore.
I agree with that.
I don't know how many times you're gonna have to say it. One day we're gonna have fans that pin together all the like. I don't want to see.
Yep.
Des Green. I'm excited that he has hands. I told you afterward. I hope he doesn't think he has hands. Like I hope that just doesn't happen to Des.
But he's just gonna hear what you just said. You're like, oh, he's
yeah. Oh, he has good hands.
He has good hands. Oh,
he threw 18 strikes. Hey, at least he has hands as well that he could have knocked him out. I like the fight from Des Green. I hope he takes the fight really soon. I wouldn't be upset if it was a fight in Fort Lauderdale, perhaps.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I like
he
that.
didn't take a lot of damage in that fight at all.
He is from Fort Lauderdale as well, is he not?
Des Green.
Des Green! Come on, Des Green! He was asking for somewhere else, too. He was asking to fight somewhere else, and I'm like, man, come on, man.
He did call out somewhere else.
Somewhere else, and
He
you're
was
not Fort
involved
Lauderdale.
last year in a 5-car accident, wasn't he?
He was in a big accident, correct. I don't know if it was last year or before. But, yeah, he did have some issues that he's had to come back and...
I like Des Green. I liked Des Green before this fight. I actually thought this was a weird fight for Des Green. It doesn't make any sense for him. I think he's a guy that's actually climbing the ladder in the division, and no offense to Ross Pearson, he's just, unless it's just for name only that you beat Ross Pearson once, that you keep it on your, like, as the record falls back in time, it means more. I don't know, though. I think Des Green's at a point that he needs fights to start get him to better places.
For Ross Pearson's, a win against Ross Pearson to mean something, Ross Pearson to me has to retire right now. Because the more fights he has, the worse he's going to look, and people are going to be like, but they'll remember how bad Ross looked. Where right now, Ross can just go out and Des will be like, yeah, I finished that guy when he was still a monster. Not really, though.
Have you noticed that some places when it'll say win and underneath it'll say retirement?
Yes, it's so weird sometimes. It's so weird sometimes.
Like it's a win for what it's asterisk win. He retired. But I like Des Green.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Des Green needs a fight that is up to his potential. That's what I think.
We have three to four more spots on that Fort Lauderdale card. It's only got, I think, 9 bouts officially right now. So, Des Green, we calling for you, bruh. You better get out of here, man. Come on, man. I'm sure there'll be someone
talking Jamaican like black booyaka. Like,
Des Green's American.
Oh shit! I just was like, oh, you talking to his dreadlocks?
What was I trying to watch? I was trying to watch some Haitian Jack shit. Have you seen that? Mm-mm. Oh, it's some Tupac Haitian Jack thing. I couldn't even get through for like the first 2 minutes. They're like the story of Haitian Jack.
That show that I'm watching on Netflix right now, All American. There's a gang member in it. And I swear, if this person was born, like if this person was around, you'd be like, that's Tupac's dad. Like if I told you, oh, that's Tupac's dad. If this show came out 30 years ago when we were watching it, right. The guy, he looks like just either a not as attractive version of Tupac, but just a little not as, like Tupac was smooth.
Oh, it's not like Jesse Smollett, Tupac's little brother?
It's not gay Tupac?
Oh, gay
Tupac. That's gay Tupac.
I'm sorry. I will say it till I'm blue in the face. Tupac was a gay Tupac. I'm just saying. Listen to the download.
That's dangerous, too.
I know that is dangerous.
Because you're from the West Coast.
That is. Isn't he? But he was an Orlando rapper?
No way. He was from Brooklyn or New York somewhere.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
okay.
He was from New York.
He wasn't ever from Florida? Coaster. Yeah, he was an East Coaster that went to the West Coast.
Yeah, he was
for
from
life.
He was from I don't remember. I don't know what borough of New York, but I think he was from New York. And Amar Shakur, maybe. His mother was Black Panther, like a revolutionary.
Oh yes, yeah. I do remember that. That was pretty dope. And he was a dancer, right?
For the Humpty Dance, to the Hump Digital Underground. I was like
wearing a singlet. Just saying. How do you think you get in their music videos? Doing the Humpty Hump. Yeah. At 115 pounds, we had a decision come in.
Stop what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you used to. Okay, come on.
We had Marina Moroz come in over Jessica Aguilar. The heavy favorite came in and did what she needed to do to get the win. I don't think there's much to break down in here because we obviously saw an up-and-coming young fighter in Rodriguez against in almost Ross Pearson type of shoes with Aguilar. Aguilar was pretty much there to be a punching bag.
Do you think that 3 razor blades across the eyeballs have anything to do with the win?
Those helped out a little bit to muck up the
fucking stabbed that poor woman in her eyes.
She was deformed. Deformed. Was it elbows? It was fingers.
Fingers in her eyeballs.
Okay, right. You're
her
right.
Eyeballs,
a thumb. It was a thumb.
And
then a flat out of the poke.
Both eyes within the
Did they take a point?
They ended up taking a point in the first round, but it happened more than that.
100%.
It happened more than that. That was horrible. And you were even pointing it out the whole fight. You were like, look at her hands.
She is sticking them out even after the eye pokes. It's true.
Like, this is unbelievable.
It's true.
So it was like anything that Jessica Aguilar, she couldn't even see every strike coming from that point. Her whole depth perception was off. It was at a heart only. It was actually one of the fights that I'm like, it's not a bad thing to throw in the towel sometimes. Your fighter has no chance of winning this fight. At some point, anytime, in my opinion, that the corner thinks our fighter has no chance of winning this, throw that towel in. It's horrible.
It was, and they should have, because what is she gaining here? She was losing the fight regardless, even with a point taken. She was still losing that fight. And where do you go with Aguilar from here? Because I feel like she's in that Ross Pearson, and I'm sorry, Ross Pearson, I got to say this to you, but you got to get on out of here, my friend. Get on out of here. Same with Aguilar. Take her with you. Let's go. I just don't want to see them take
anybody else in the division.
Yes.
If she were in the tough house, don't you think she could beat half that house?
No, not now.
How about Aguilar versus Montano?
Montano's at 25 though.
Oh, this is 115?
This is 115 pounds.
Oh. Yeah, she can go.
Exactly. They got enough people there. She's just, I don't want to see the damage on these fighters.
I know, but 115, it's not as much damage as like getting hit by a 200-pound man.
Unless you get fingered in the eye for a whole 15 minutes. Then you might have a little depth perception for the rest of their life.
Pink eye.
Just saying, ask Bisbing about that.
Yeah, and a man. Just kidding.
We're getting there. So, if you haven't liked and subscribed, remember to at Zoltanite, at Weekneck Baby, at Lesbo and the Bean. You know Instagram. We be blowing up. You know, if you haven't used that promo code LATB15 at Lather & Co., you're missing out. Because you be getting some nice-ass body washes.
You get some nice scrubs, nice soaps, some aluminum-free deodorant. Everything's organic. If you're going to latherandcompany.com, using the code LATB15, you're getting 15% off and free shipping and handling for orders of 25 or more inside the U.S.
145 pounds. We had a decision bout opening up the main event with...
I thought you were going to say something else.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was setting you up like, outside the U.S. I would be like, outside the U.S. I was like...
my bad. My bad. I thought it was a perfect segue into boom,
good.
and we keep on trucking.
Okay,
we keep on trucking. Sadiq Youssef won a decision over Shaman Marias. That's where you got to hit him and quit it. You got to hit him with a jab, back on out.
That James Brown. You got to hit it and quit it.
Got to hit it, quit. Oh. Dim, 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 dim. Bow! So, this was a crafty strike and delight. It stayed on its feet all 3 rounds. Neither of them shot a takedown in there. And even though it went to a decision, this was ring craftsmanship by both sides that you can go back, watch this fight, because both of these guys are going to stay in and have marquee wins in this division, or even moving up if they grow a little bit more. But either way, these guys are top-level strikers, and it was... all sorts of fun to see all of the crafty traps, setups, and stuff. I do believe that Youssef was getting the better of the exchanges in there, but there was times Marias was also landing that left, right, in those sneaky inside elbows. Marias did get a little heavy with those elbows, and by the end of it, he was just swinging at air, but this was a fun fight. There wasn't a loser. Obviously, Youssef won, but moving forward, I'm going to be putting money on either guy. This was my free bet as well with Marias. I wasn't ashamed here. I wasn't ashamed. I thought that this was a super close fight, especially for being an underdog. I was not. I think the only knockdown was by Youssef at the end of that fight, where it could have been a split decision up until that knockdown, and that solidified.
I think you're right. It was a really close fight until and even Marias knew
the last minute, right?
Yeah, like he was like, "Are you kidding me?" He was pissed that he just got knocked down. Strikes wise, Youssef almost laid double, But I think the significance was relatively the same. I thought both guys looked really good. I don't mind what I saw from Maurice at all. I love what I saw from Yusuf, though. I really like him going forward because I don't think Maurice was a walkthrough at all. I think that is a really hard fight. But yeah, and he is an undervalued guy. That's the great thing about Maurice going forward, is he will be even more undervalued, which will be great for us here at Lesbo and the Bean. Everyone's going to be pretty hot on the Yusuf train. He has a good name, too, that's going to stick in people's... It's going to be like an earworm. It's going to stick in people's ear, so they're going to remember when he's hot. They're going to remember, oh, he won. Oh, I like his name. Like, it's going to sit like Sugar Shane in your head. So, yeah, cool schmool. Good fight. Thank you, fellas.
205 pounds, we had the upset master coming in again against debuting Kennedy Zenjuku. Zenjuku ended up losing this bout in the last minute, the last 40 seconds of the fight. I mean, Paul Craig has a knack to do this kind of shit, but he was getting tooled up the entire 3 rounds of this fight. In the first round, we were watching this fight, and remember, us and that corner for Zenjuku were just like, get up, get up, get up, get up. No, absolutely no coaching at all. It was just, get up, back up,
no,
get
don't
up.
do, yeah.
And I loved it because I'm like, there, I'm making money. That's the right corner call. That's what I talked about even on our breakdown. I was like, he listens to his corner, and there was other fights where he backed up, got up, and Zenjuku did this for 2.5 rounds. Where he just ended up winning the striking anytime Craig would even try to get to the ground, and Craig was more using he was pulling you down instead of shooting. He was turning into a sack of potatoes. He's like, here, hold my body weight, and he would drag him down. So Zenjuku was kind of getting a takedown as well, but immediately Paul Craig was trying to submit, and in the last 40 seconds, Zenjuku got comfortable in there for a second, hanging out in Paul Craig's guard, tried to land some elbows, and you saw Craig hold on to that arm for dear life and suck up that triangle as hard as he could, rolled all the way over to his back. Zenjuku rolled over. Wrongest thing you want to do. The announcers were talking about it because he just locked it in even worse. What I thought was funny was immediately after the tap, did you see Zenjuku pop his head out and shake his head? No.
No.
Go back and watch that because he totally did that. But Zenjuku does that as well because he was poking guys on his regional fights. He poked a couple guys in the eyes, and before they even proclaimed to the ref, he would go to the ref, no. And he did that in this fight where he poked Craig in the eye. And then they showed the replay, and it was a direct poke in the eye. But Zenjuku likes to talk to the ref is what I gather from that. And that can get him into trouble because he'll be like, hey, ref, do you see that? Gunk! And eat a goddamn shot because he's not paying attention. Or in this situation, he's like, all right, I'm going to land a little couple things, just not thinking. Triangle City, but it's that youth.
I also think Paul Craig looked good in there for Paul Craig. His striking looked better than it ever has. He's an older guy, and he must be at a striking camp right now or have a new striking coach on, because obviously he doesn't need to work anything with his ground game. He's a master there. But it looks like something's come together for his striking. I felt like he took just as many big shots on Kennedy as Kennedy took on him. I thought the fight was a lot closer than anyone was expecting, and him laying on the ground, it just gave him that much more. It would have been a closer fight than it should have been if it didn't go out this way.
Right.
Like where we would have had to wait till the judges actually said it. And we would have been like, oh, good, they're strike-friendly judges. That wins us this. Or it should, going by what they win
They've
tonight.
been playing by, all right.
I was actually surprised. Paul Craig is kind of chinny, so he wasn't getting pieced up enough. I think be careful with Njaku Wu, African Savage, going forward.
Zenjuku. That's what I saw on it.
Yeah.
I did scout his name, by the way, and I feel like there was a lot of people having issues. I didn't think we've been doing that bad here at LaTB. I saw that's the way he pronounces it, or they'll say Nzuku, but I've heard him pronounce it Zenjuku.
I just like the Kennedy, African Savage, and once he wins enough, it'll get in my diatribe like Jan Jacek, where it's all of a sudden just a name you say. But Paul Craig, to me, I'm a little more excited about Paul Craig going forward as far as being a gambler, because I think there's still matches he's going to sneak away with. He wasn't as chinny in this fight against the heavy hitter that I thought he was going to be, and his striking looked better than it ever has before. He even had a couple of kicks in there. So Kennedy, but he's a young guy.
Super young, 24 years old. I mean, what can you take away at a 205 for that?
So maybe we want that new camp for Kennedy. it's time to change into the big boy camp.
He's at Fortis. They have a couple UFC caliber guys at Fortis MMA. I do think they tend to be more in that 70, 55 pound division.
Get up. He looked okay in that fight. I just think Paul Craig is an underrated guy. And
He's
I
a
think
sniper.
I'm always kind of high on Paul Craig. I feel like a lot of fights you have to talk me off the ledge with Paul Craig. And that wouldn't, if he didn't pull out that submission in the last 40 seconds, he would have been worth like 15 points.
100%.
So he's so dangerous like that.
100%.
And even with the submission, he probably wasn't worth all that many points.
I didn't have any exposure to Paul Craig at all. My DraftKings had a little bit of Zenjuku. That didn't work out so well.
I did not. I stayed with what I knew, and I didn't know anything about him yet. So.
Definitely a smart play. At 115 pounds, we had Michelle Waterson coming in as an underdog against Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Put that in your diatribe. Lesbo coming through with the big underdog.
And that was my premiere. I put a crown on her head. If you follow us on Instagram at Lesbo and the Bean, we put out our cards, and I had 2 picks. We both actually. Did you start? No, you didn't do Justin Gaethje. Or you picked him, but you didn't put him. I said the 2 people that I really had heavy on all my cards when I looked at them going into this. One of them was Michelle Waterson, and she did not disappoint.
Completely agree. She threw out a ton of strike output. Really controlled most of the octagon the whole time. And just kind of looked like the fight was getting more and more away from KK. At the end there, Michelle Waterson throwing out some spinning heel kicks. Reminded me of Chung Lee in there. A couple of those look like if they caught you, it don't matter what weight you are. You would have caught a heel right to the temple. So I dare to say that there was times that KK, I didn't like the way she looked in there. She kind of just submitted to the position striking and couldn't get the fight where she wanted to. Waterson has done this to other people. I think both moving forward, they have fights to win at 115 pounds. It was a fun fight. I didn't bet it heavy either way because I didn't think it was going to be a big DraftKings score. So I really didn't have much exposure here at all, even on the betting window, other than picking the favorite.
Michelle Waterson was really inexpensive, and she was well worth her points. KK, she looked this is a term I said already once before with Borg tonight. She just looked like a lazy version of herself in there. She looked a little out of shape or something. And I know she's like not out of shape. You're looking at me like, how do you call KK out of shape? You could eat her for breakfast. I understand. But for KK, the KK we're used to seeing in there, she just looked a little like a sluggish version of herself. Maybe she needed this fight to get everything adjusted. I actually, striking wise, I don't think she did awful. I just really loved, and I could have been biased on this. I loved everything I saw from Michelle Waterson. She looked like the best version of herself in there.
I would agree with that.
She looked kind of like she took some, like she had like a little Holly Holm mixed in within.
Holly Holm legs. She did
have them big legs.
This is the first time we ever seen her legs like that.
She looked thick, and the toss that she did twice, which has to be the deciding factor in the fight. Really. Like being able to do that, and her fast kicks. She did a kick right up the middle, and it was just like so fast, like it was the fastest thing ever. But it was never thrown to elicit damage as much as space.
100%.
It was almost like she'd throw it to set up
to make a wall, just like don't get in my space right now. Don't get in my space because you're gonna catch this. But there was no committal behind it. Totally agree with that. Like I said, that spinning heel hook, I kind of feel like it was in the same way. She was throwing it to look flashy, but she wasn't trying to hit it where if you try to actually Edson Barboza that thing, it doesn't matter who you are. You go night-night. So, great call. Great views on that one.
She's sneaky going forward, Michelle Waterson. Everything's looking right.
Definitely.
KK, she's only going to be good as an underdog going forward, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's getting kind of thick at the top here, unless she just is going to be a gatekeeper, which is weird for KK. It's just kind of like, I'm seeing
But I mean,
her
who
stall.
does she beat at the top?
I'm seeing her stall.
She beat Rose. She did beat Rose.
Oh my gosh, we can go to scorecards on this too.
Is this the new, what is this one?
I'm on the UFC app.
Interesting.
I'm never on this app. Yeah, 30-27, Michelle Waterson.
Is that enough to save your Fight Pass subscription? Because mine's gone.
The 14th. I have to cancel mine by the 14th.
Oh, mine I had like, I think the year long, and then it's like, all right, buy another year, and it just ran out this year, and I'm like, oh, I guess that's it.
All right, bye.
All right, bye, Fight Pass. I miss you.
I'll never watch EBI again.
I miss you. But because there was a couple fights, I feel like that I was just like, oh, I want to catch that tape, and I wasn't able to find it on YouTube. Then my Fight Pass all of a sudden was like, subscribe for this month. A fight.
They'll offer you a free one soon.
Soon enough. At 145 pounds, we had Josh Emmett come in against Michael Johnson. This was a show-stopping type of a performance. I mean, up until the finish here in the third round with a minute left in the fight, I thought it was a back-and-forth fight. I honestly thought Michael Johnson was also winning this fight up until that knockout came. Thought Johnson was landing a little higher percentage strikes. I don't think either one was doing damage, but if we called it on the breakdown, we said Josh Emmett's serviceable wrestler, but what does he have? A right hand. And that's it. Josh Emmett threw 500 right hands this entire fight. That's all he kept throwing, right?
Yeah, that was pretty much his go-to.
Pretty much a jab into a right hand, if even a jab or a level change into that right. People
He was
are
like
saying
the Paul Craig of jabbing. He just kept throwing up the same submission over and over, Paul Craig.
right, but not even of jabbing, of overhand righting.
Yeah.
Just
an overhand right. The Paul Craig of his overhand right.
Nonstop. Finally caught Johnson in the last minute. Did Johnson get hurt before this? Was there other times in the fight where he was landing
Johnson
these?
was going to walk away with the victory.
I thought that he had at least 2 rounds, about to be 3, and then it was stiff, night. What a year we've had so far, not only in main events.
Those just happening the last minute of the fight.
But yeah, just knockouts in
just
general.
Full board,
Boom, right.
like timber,
no follow-ups.
Full timber.
No follow-up shots needed. Like the canvas did the job. 100% walk-away shots. This was one of them. Actually, all credit be to Josh Emmett because Jeremy Stevens walked away with 3 or 4 extra shots on him, and Emmett had every right to do that
elbow,
again.
That's what crushed.
Against Stevens?
Yeah,
I think it was an illegal knee, elbow, something like that. But, I mean, there's other fighters who will be like, someone did that to me, I'm going to do it back. And Emmett just walked away. Emmett knew and was like, you done, homeboy.
Looking at the numbers on this, I'm surprised at how close the fight was.
I thought it was pretty close.
Like, it was within 2 strikes. Every fight that both guys threw was significant. Josh Emmett threw 22 of 87. He landed, and 22 significant strikes. And Michael Johnson threw 24 of 128 and landed 24 of 128 significant strikes. So that's super interesting. And I also want to know, how are these total strikes also kicks? Are they elbows? I want to know how this metric breaks down, because 22 and 24, I can't believe how exciting this fight was. I was on the edge of my seat for this fight, and they only threw 50 punches between them.
It was a good one.
Like, Derek, Lewis, and Ngannou do that, and they're going to get shit for days. Not one person even made mention to that about this fight. Like, that fight was boring. It was an exciting fight. It was
a fairly exciting fight. I will say that it was about to be a boring decision, though. Like, neither guy had hurt each other that entire fight. Neither one of we weren't like, oh, he's almost out, ever. Up until all of a sudden we're like, holy shit, that guy's out.
There were some good exchanges, though. Like I was excited enough to pay attention.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, did they boo? Did we boo? Was this the one? Because there was a fight in the night that we actually was like, if I was a fan, I'd boo right now.
I feel like this might have been one of them.
Maybe I'm totally.
It might have been this one because we had the Waterson KK decision, and these guys, as you're saying, they were throwing 1 and 2 punches together, and then circling. You throw 2 punches, I throw 2 punches, and that's why it was really, really close. Up until the knockout, where again, it was pretty much out of nowhere.
Or was it Mearshart?
Yeah, they booed for that. They definitely booed for that one. 100% booed for that one. But
anyway,
185 pounds, the co-main event, we had Jack Hermanson.
Oh wait, do you think Josh Emmett? You think that he's kind of stopped? He just fights another guy?
No, with this knockout, there's no way he was already a top. Because he moved up in weight already, but he finished someone else. Was it Lamas a while ago?
He was beating Jeremy Stevens the entire fight.
Oh yeah, he was beating Jeremy Stevens until that happened.
And he took some strikes from Johnson and proved he wasn't gun shy in there. I'm interested. He just needs to widen it out, like you were saying, not just headhunt.
Not just one strike. You need to keep mixing it up in there. But I would agree, and great point. I especially was very tentative on Josh Emmett's nose and or face and worried about it. But as you were saying, he said he took 8 months off. He took extra time. He really planned this, and that should tell us something about his game plan and that he can adapt and overcome.
He's
exactly.
Not in a rush. He's like going to do it right.
Right. And his age doesn't matter because he's like 2 months is nothing, even if I'm 34, 36.
Michael Johnson, 6 months, homie, at least.
Oh.
If you could take a full year, that would be amazing to me. because you're older now and you're in some brutal wars. Yeah.
Brutal fights, and definitely starting to catch up on him. So
is this at 145?
145.
Who's next for Josh Emmett? We're in the top now. 145.
145. I mean,
Brian Ortega.
Yes, but you can also, I think you can do that Stevens fight again. Because it was a bit controversial. It was supposedly an illegal knee. I remember booing out in the stands because I was there and I was like...
We said it was illegal, right?
It was illegal. We watched it and we're like, that's illegal. And the whole crowd was booing with us. But I think they could run that one back. If it's not that, because they're on different trajectories... 45. The people I keep thinking of at 45 are all Team Alpha, are all his teammates.
All Team Alpha Male.
All Team Alpha Male guys. I'm like Andre Feely, Darren Elkins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, all his teammates.
Yeah.
Chad Mendez, all of his teammates.
Chad Mendez is retired.
Is he officially retired? Did he?
Yeah, I think so. I think he officially retired.
Really?
I think he officially retired last time in the Octagon.
No, you're right. No. Not Chad Mendez.
I'm almost positive.
No.
I'm almost positive. I would have bet $100. Chad Mendez is retired. It'll be the first. We can look it up right now.
Okay.
You say he's not retired yet.
I don't think Chad Mendez retired.
All right. We'll move on and I'll find the info.
Dang. So, all right. Josh Emmett, 145 pounds. It's not going to be Chad Mendez, but... Coming off of a win, 145 pounds. Was he 35? Is Yair Rodriguez 35?
Look at what it says, right? I just put in Chad Mendez retired, and look what it says. Chad Mendez is a retired American mixed martial artist who competed at featherweight for the Ultimate Fighter as a
January 2nd. No! Did he just get knocked out too? Damn it!
It happened inside the Octagon. I never remember stuff inside the Octagon.
Damn, but he must have just lost too. And we come off of one. Damn. Must have been because you hung out with him at your
I'm
work.
going to have to get you to sign it.
Yeah, official.
Oh, yeah, that is true. I forgot I hung out with him at my work.
Is that the only reason you were slipping him some cocktails? You're like, you're going to retire, right, homie?
I was like,
you're going to take a little break.
What's good for you? He listened to some...
manager.
Yeah, I know it seemed like it was going to slide through over there.
It looks good. It looks good.
It looks fine. Yeah. So that was exciting. That was more exciting than the Josh Emmett win. That $100. I think it's Brian Ortega, even though he lost to the champ. Oh no, I know who I want. Volkanovski.
Oh, is that fight? But that fight's still on the rocks with Aldo.
I don't think Aldo wants that fight.
I don't think Aldo wants that fight either.
I don't think Aldo wants that fight, but I don't think Aldo needs that fight. He should be fighting legacy big money fights.
Agreed.
In my humble opinion, whether it's 45ers, 35ers, and 45ers, anyone with a big enough name, I think he just fights super fights from here on out. Make himself like the Anderson Silva. He's no stepping stone. He doesn't need to be like that, and I think Volkanovski's too much. Give Volkanovski to a hungry lad like Josh Emmett, and that's a great fight. I like that fight a lot. We'll see that wrestling. That's fun. We'll have to see how that wrestling defense with Volkanovski. Definitely. At 185 pounds, we had Jack the Joker Hermanson come in against David Branch. Here at LaTB, we were super heavy on Hermanson, thinking that, Branch may be on his way out of here. A lot of other people were reciprocating that online. A lot of people saying that Branch is just coming in here for those money fights now that he was a title contender and just had multiple fights at multiple organizations, that he's just kind of there to get a paycheck. And honestly, that's what it looked like to me in there. Looked like he didn't want to bang. And as soon as it got to the ground, I would have expected just David Branch to do a bit more. It just kind of looked like he settled in a position, and all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, Hermanson's diving for that neck pretty one-dimensional. He's going on one track. Hermanson's just reaching the neck, sitting in, and you're like, okay, Branch started to move, and then he did it, and all of a sudden it's like, well, if you don't move, that locks. Oh, it's locked in. Okay, that's a tap. It was just really, he almost gave it away. It's like, oh, you're still going to give me 45 grand, right? You're still going to give me 5 G's. Quick cash, and he's no knockout, no punches. Injury. He got hit 3 times or something. Right. No concussion. Nothing big, nothing damaging, nothing just to set up for the choke. Nothing just to get inside. No hits that were anything mattered. Exactly. Yeah, that was weird to me as well. I expected Jackie Hermanson to win, but not like that. I was heavy on Hermanson. Branch is done, but I'm like,
Agreed. Well, if David Branch decides to stick around and keep looking like that, I'm going to be betting against David Branch moving forward. But I think a lot of people are going to be in that boat because did not look good at all.
But I want to be super high on Jack Hermanson going forward. I really like him. I liked him all the whole way up. So it's like, is this just another victory? Where does he go from here? He called out Chris Weidman. Do you like that fight?
I love that fight. I think with the call out, that makes sense. I would say Weidman is above Branch as well. The only other person you could really be calling out, I feel like, is going to be the Luke Rockholds, but he's at 205 now. So
205 now, yeah.
So I love Weidman.
Too, coming up at 205.
Yeah, he does.
Blachowicz.
But 85, if it's not Weidman.
Hunk.
There is the other crazy Brazilian star who just came in through here. No, is that a 205?
Or
that is
Anderson Silva, but I think Anderson Silva has a fight.
Yeah, I would agree. And Anderson Silva wouldn't take the Jack Hermanson fight because it's not a big enough name. Hermanson's not a big enough name.
He shouldn't, but I feel like the fight he's fighting is a weird fight for him. In my opinion, it's like, why is Anderson Silva taking stepping stone fights? He doesn't need to be a stepping stone.
Right, it's all just super fights for him.
He should only be taking super fights, and I
100%.
felt like Adesanya, it was kind of perfect because he's like a hot flame. Blue
Hype.
flame.
He at least had that hype.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
So Jack Hermanson, he doesn't have that Adesanya hype yet, so I do understand what you're saying. But I feel like the weird fight, Anderson Silva, I'll look it up if you have anything left to say or move on.
No, for Anderson, yeah, go ahead and look up who he has next. With Branch saying, time to get on out of here, unfortunately. But if you don't, because it's just, he had a win recently, I'm going to be betting against Branch, just everything I saw in there. Hermanson, he's going to be super hyped coming forward from this, but this was a really quick showing. But we've seen other bouts for him that have gone into those 3 hard decision fights. And again, like in everything we're seeing from the Swedish fighter, the Joker, Jack Hermanson.
Yeah, I like the Joker.
Anderson,
I like him going forward.
Anderson news.
No, not yet. I tried to find it an easy way and it didn't work, and now I have to go to the Twitter.
Oh, that Twitterverse always ends up working out, always ends up getting it done in there.
Oh no, people are still calling out fights, so maybe he didn't. Maybe it was
He hasn't
all
officially
just
signed one?
It was all a roomie.
To get Conor McGregor back in there?
People are like, Nick Diaz versus Anderson Silva, please.
I hope not.
No?
Anything?
What's wrong with that fight? They're both old guys.
Well, I just feel like Nick has said multiple times, like, I don't want to fight guys. I just want to smoke weed and be a triathlete.
Is he still in the USADA testing pool?
I'm not sure, honestly, but how many times does somebody have to tell me they don't want to do it before I'm like, come on, man, get back in here? It's like, no, respect him. Respect the man. His brother's still in it. Nate's still at it. All right, Nate, get a fight, bro. But there's only so much I can get behind, and then it's like, man, I got to make some room. I got Volkanovskis. I got freaking Moicanos. I got all these other motherfucking beasts I got to make room for in my brain, and you're just holding valuable space there.
Money fights. Like,
I don't even think that's a money
space
fight.
To be held. You
Yeah.
don't think it's a money fight, Nick Diaz versus Anderson Silva?
I think it's starting to get on the edges. I think that's an old era of fighters now.
I think that's a money fight.
I'm sure you're right. But if that was a headliner of a pay-per-view, I would not buy it. If that was the main event, then give me shitty cards.
pay-per-view you got down on?
I want to say it was like Usman Maya.
What was that?
That was like a year and a half ago or something.
But even think of that, Usman Maya.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the one you got down on.
Exactly,
Usman
because
Maya.
I had to watch it because you got to trust us.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But if they offered me that, Usman Maya between freaking...
It wouldn't be a 5-round anyway. It would be the co-main.
And we already saw it. We already saw it once.
What?
Anderson Silva, Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But then not in like new era. It would be an old era. But I just need a comeback fight for Nick Diaz. He would need a money fight as well. And there isn't a lot of guys that...
You know who I always like to throw in those money fights? Give me Propazone 12. Get him in there at 185 pounds. I just want to see him get beat up. Against Nick. That's a fresh fight. Or Anderson. I don't give a damn. I've been calling that for years. 205, get him in there.
Fight.
Yep. It doesn't matter. Pay-per-view points, you want them? Boom. There you go. Anderson Silva. 3 days notice. Woo. That would be a fight I would definitely pay for.
Anderson Connor.
Today. Take my money right now. Right now.
That doesn't excite me at all.
Woo! I would love that so much. You don't even know. That would be so fun. Conor would get eaten alive with body kicks. God, it'd be so good.
Oh, that's just why you want to get.
Yeah, I want to see him get crushed
but
again.
then I'm like, you might as well just have him go against DC.
I'd love that fight. I love that fight. Matchmaker,
like,
let's go.
Have DC versus Conor.
Yes,
like,
I love it.
Or John Jones versus Conor.
Some
Just
people
have
say
John
Conor
Jones
beat the
versus
mountain already, so not too different. Just saying. You saw those GFT
what
videos
about John Jones versus Conor?
all day.
What about Ronda versus Conor?
No. I will not watch that one because, yeah, he'll win that one.
Yeah, we already know he's already beat up one girl.
Oh,
shit.
Boom. Beat them
I
guts,
don't need no
maybe.
slander lawsuit, Conor. I don't need no slander.
The main event, 155 pounds. We've been beating around the bush because this one took 2 shots to get it done, and it was in the first 2 minutes. We had as good as a main event as you could hope for. Again, 3 weeks in a row, these main events have been showing out, and if you would have videotaped it in here, you would have thought a lady was getting killed in the main event because the Bean was going ham. I mean, every shot that landed was a knockout blow. Who was going to the calf early? Justin Gaethje.
Justin Gaethje hit first.
But I mean, it was
and
exactly...
he checked every single kick that Barboza threw.
100%. We were saying it heavy here. Stylistically, Edson Barboza doesn't do good on his back foot. And the perfect stylistic matchup for that is Justin Gaethje, who moves forward nonstop. And that's exactly what we saw, was Barboza not being able to set his feet at any point in time to get any of the power off. So before he knew it, he tried to exit with his hands down. And you know how we like to say, kick or throw a hook on the outside of the break. There was no break, but essentially what we talk about there is exactly what Gaethje did, and it was just on the exit, throw something. Because if they keep their hands down like that, they'll walk into the punch, and that's what ended up happening for Edson Barboza. I mean, it wasn't even that brutal of a fight. Their shins were a little swollen, but it was a clean one and done. First 2 minutes, you're out of there. Loved the fight. Loved everything we saw about it. Justin Gaethje is still highlight reel for a reason. Must see television. What do you take away from either one of these guys in this quick one? I loved it
too. I loved everything about it. I've heard people hating on Edson and saying he doesn't look like himself anymore and blah, blah, blah and all this. I'm like, do you know the pressure that Jason Gaethje's throwing? Not to mention that he's killer with his hands. He's killer with his kicks. And everyone always talks about the takedown that he's never going to use. Everyone always says this. So it's like, if you know a guy is really this well-rounded and this good, all we saw was Edson moving backward. I felt like most of the fight, and he did not fight well, moving off that back foot, which we also knew was kind of going to happen. There wasn't a lot of strikes thrown in this, but they were all deadly from both guys. They were all brutal. It was super fun to watch. Justin Gaethje excites me, and he's the actual guy. If I had to pick, if I had to take somebody I feel like out of this division that has the best, that's the most dangerous opponent, and yes, I'd love to say Tony. I just don't know when we're ever going to see that. Can we see Gaethje Tony? Is that something we can see?
I would love it, but I think that you were kind of telling me this a little bit, and I thought you were going to go there. Mm-hmm. And this is something that Mystic Bean was predicting a long time ago, because Ali was as well a little bit, and it was that Conor he's only wants to fight Justin Gaethje, and that's the only fight, and that was prior to that Eddie Alvarez fight. But I agree as far as, I'm thinking that Conor comes back for this Gaethje fight. It's kind of what I'm thinking. That's the fighter that we're going to end up seeing Conor in there against. And you were saying something to that of the night, I thought.
Well, I said that, and then you said, nah, I don't think Conor will come back. And then I thought about it again, and I don't think Gaethje's big enough for him to come back to. I think Conor's only a money fighter at this point. Cowboy is a big name. I think Gaethje's a big name. Yep. I just think Cowboy is past a hardcore slightly. Like, people know him a little bit, pop culture wise. Justin Gaethje, I think stylistically, if I'm Conor, you assume you can beat a guy like Gaethje.
That's exactly what I'm thinking too. That's exactly it.
I don't think that anymore. I actually think Justin Gaethje is the hardest fight for Khabib. If Khabib was going to pick somebody to fight in the division that has the biggest chance of taking that belt, it's Justin Gaethje. That's what I think. Now watching this, I'm like, and everyone, the wrestling he never uses, what about if he used it in reverse?
100%.
Would Khabib be able to still get him down with a guy that's swinging down on him like Justin Gaethje will? And then it led me to like, oh, you're just skipping over Tony. Of course I want Tony to have the Khabib fight more than anything. I just don't think we're ever going to see it for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on with Tony. I don't know when his next fight will be, but he seems like he's waiting for some money fight. So then I'm like, is Justin a money fight? Do you think he is enough for Conor?
I think he is enough for Conor. And as you're saying, I think Conor thinks he can beat him because of that supposed lacking defense that Gaethje has where he wades in. Because Conor specifically trusts that left hand more than he trusts any other punch. It showed in that 13 seconds. Conor believes it doesn't matter who you are. He lands that punch on you, and he's done it with everyone. He lands it, and Gaethje allows that to be landed. I think that could get Conor in trouble because he'll take that fight, think he can land it and hurt him, and when Gaethje doesn't go down, all of a sudden Conor's like, oh, I'm fucked. I'm really fucked now.
And a guy that'll come at you like that the whole
100%.
time.
Which but Conor loves that because Conor's like, this guy's not going to take me down and he's going to walk into my biggest punch. I love that. Again, that's the initial stages. Then afterwards, it's like, but if you don't get him out of there, you got your hands full.
Yeah, I just don't think Conor is like naive at all about fighting. I think he's a tape watcher.
Yes.
I just don't think he
takes that fight.
Yeah, I don't think the juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Who's more dangerous to the champion? Like Conor not being a champion, he's just some money guy fight talking about Nate.
Who's the champion right now?
Khabib.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I know.
I know. For reals, it's garbage.
But I know, and how long he's allowed to be. I'm like, come on, let's get this division going. This is the hottest division in the whole thing. We can't get Tony a fight. We can't get Conor a fight. We have Poirier fighting Max, which it's like, I love that Max is finally moving up. I think he's going to do great in the division. I'm glad Poirier stepped in to take the fight. But cool, guys, you're not moving this first stone, this boulder out of the way. Yep. So who's more dangerous to Khabib than Justin Gaethje in this division right now?
Obviously, it's Tony, but that's Tony once he's back in the pool. Right now, he's out of the pool. Right now, he's out of the pool.
After
Tony, it's going to be Justin Gaethje because of that anti-wrestling.
If I had to pick... if you had to pick who beats Khabib, if you had to bet money on one, do you still think Tony... Tony versus Gaethje?
Tony.
The winner of that gets the champion.
That's such a hard fight to call. That's a great fight. Oh, who would win that fight?
Tony always gets hurt. Yeah. The amount of forward pressure from Gaethje. Yeah, he could throw up submission the whole time, but Gaethje won't take it there. Oh my gosh.
Well, that's an amazing fight.
But Justin Gaethje's up there with whether it's Conor, Khabib, Tony.
Do I want to see...
He's in those talks.
Do I want to see Gaethje, Tony more than I want to see Khabib Ferguson? I honestly do. Tony,
it's so compelling.
Tony versus Gaethje.
But then think of this all of a sudden. Oh, damn. Dustin Max.
Right.
I don't know why.
Who's the
we
winner?
See comfortable Max up in this division all of a sudden. Justin Gaethje Holloway. That makes me want to...
Yeah, 100%. There's so many right around the corner, and it's so sad that we have these few just mucking it up.
Justin Gaethje says he only has 2 fights left. Khabib only has a few fights left. Conor only has... It's like we have this plump division that we can't get... Tony, we're going to wait his career out on this. Come on, let's get this moving. Gaethje Tony is the one we want here at Lesbo and the Bean. And I haven't heard anyone else say that.
I agree. That's the fucking sickest fight I could think of.
That's the thing. Far. If you agree with us, you should like and subscribe because we love you and appreciate you for joining us yet again.
Lesbo and the Bean!
Thanks for listening to LaTB. For all things Lesbo and the Bean, head over to lesboandthebean.com or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.